Hello, everybody. It's Jim Capuano from College Press Box, and welcome to the Week 17 edition of the College Football Podcast as we roll into the first round of the College Football Playoff. My co-host is TJ Troop. TJ is a football expert. He played the game, coached the game, is a historian of the game, and author of 3 books on the great game of American football. He's a weekly contributor to the Pro Football Journal. And when I say he's an expert on the game, he understands the game from every angle as a coach, player, fan, analyst, and just a flat-out good guy. TJ, it's great to be with you. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Jim. Thanks for the introduction. I'm going to add to it. We all can become blessed by the people we meet and the friendships we make. And he's departed. There was a writer at Sports Illustrated, Paul Lionel Zimmerman, otherwise known as Dr. Z. And of course, Steve Sable at NFL Films. These are 2 brilliant, iconic figures. And for me, they were mentors. They guided me. They opened doors of opportunity for me. It was much like big brother, little brother relationship, and I was honored to help them whenever I could.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. The people that we meet in our journey, we can really impact them, and that's true every day. Doesn't whether it turns into a friendship or work relationship or just someone you meet on the street and nod hello. But building those and having the opportunity to work with folks like the guys you just mentioned, absolute influencers in the game of football, and really were solid human beings. So that's awesome. Thanks, TJ. That's a beautiful thing to share here in the holiday season as we are just a week away from Christmas here. Let's dive into last week. We had one game that you wanted to talk about, and that was the Army-Navy game. Let's dive into that a little bit. What was your takeaway? The Naval Academy taking down the Black Knights of Army 17-16. What did you see in that game?
Basically, I saw old school traditional football because both teams are obviously running teams. I grew up with it. What they represent, I think what still captures me the most is the spirit of both academies in that stadium. There's no hatred. It's just cheering for your guys. And the games are usually very hard fought, and this was no exception. Army really played well most of the game. The best player for both teams, and he's been mentioned many times, and he's really had one heck of a season, is Blake Horvath. He ran 34 times, but he didn't throw the ball particularly well till late in the game when he throws the winning touchdown. So anytime you have a 17-16 game between Army and Navy, it's worth watching.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and to your point about the spirit and the competition, no hatred, ton of respect. But man, they were playing to win, both of them. Hard fought, like you said. It is always a nail biter. And yeah, Horvath delivered when the chips were down the most, and that was a great game, and it's inspirational, right? I mean, the folks that are on the field, in the stands, I wouldn't call it a good-natured rivalry because they're really rooting hard for their team, but it's not like, I grew up here in Chicago, right? And I grew up in the South Side, and, Sox fans, Cubs fans suck, and Cubs fans saying the same to the Sox fans. I mean, that's okay. I prefer when I was younger, I will admit I participated in that, but now it's like, hey, I don't really, hey, whatever happens, but I want my team to win, and that's kind of where the Navy and Army game was from a fan's perspective, but also a coaching and player's perspective. Ton of respect and a lot of pride, right? I mean, they're playing for the Commander-in-Chief, trophy, and it's a big win for Navy, and they had their hands full, and they somehow managed through. So good for them. Anything else on the game, TJ?
No, sir.
All right. Well done by the Naval Academy. All right, we've got four CFP games we're going to focus on here. Uh, we have one on tomorrow, one on Friday night between Alabama and Oklahoma, a rematch, and then three on Saturday. What do you say we dive into the three on Saturday and wrap up with the game between the rematch between Alabama Oklahoma? Does that sound all right to you?
That's why don't you get us started there, my friend? Let's roll with it.
All right. Actually, it's interesting because of the four games, two are rematches. So we'll dive into the other rematch first, which is Tulane and Old Miss. They played each other earlier this year, and uh, you know, Old Miss handled Tulane very easily in that game. Um, this will be, of course, in Oxford, Mississippi, without Lane Kiffin as the coach. Uh, What do you, when you look at this game, forget about this point spread. You know, the Green Wave has had a really great year. Um, what do you, and you know, their coach is still there, John Sumrall, as he gets ready to depart to his next gig. But good for him for sticking around for this game. Um, Anything, if you're the Tulane coach or a Tulane player, what are you looking at as you approach this game, knowing that the first time you played Ole Miss, you got trounced also at Oxford 45-10 back on September 20.
Well, the standard cliches always can come to light, where it's we're going to play for respect. We're going to show the nation how good we really are, those type of things, and you just do your preparation as a coach and get them ready.
Mm.
The other aspect of the game is from Tulane, and of course, he's not going to say much, nor would you expect him to. You're asking yourself, and I sure was down this road many times, is the team you're coaching at this point in the season the same team that you coached early in the season?
Mm.
And of course, every coach is hoping for improvement. So if Tulane is dramatically improved, they can give them a game. And if they're not, well, they're playing a team that has obviously had a wonderful season and is more talented, no matter who's coaching them.
Right. Yeah, and Pete Golding will be taking the reins for the Rebels of Ole Miss. Um, they've been. It's hard to actually believe this, but from my perspective, uh, Ole Miss has been somewhat flying under the radar, I think, from the perspective of that they are a solid team. They've got the third longest active home winning streak in the FBS right now at 11 games. Um, they're they're averaging 51.7 points scored in each of their last three games versus Tulane, which doesn't mean a whole lot because that's going way back to 2021. But what is interesting is when the chips are down and Ole Miss is in scoring position against the three opponents that made the CFP, meaning Tulane plus Oklahoma and Georgia, Ole Miss is 15 out of 15 in the red zone versus those three opponents. What does that tell you about the Rebels?
Well, first off, it tells you that they've got talented young men on offense. And number two is when the opportunity was there, they sure made the most of it. What
Yeah,
coach wouldn't want those kind of numbers? I mean, they have been terrific on offense all year. Why would that change? I mean, I don't know how good Tulane is at taking the ball away, but let's go with this. Let's say that the Green Wave don't take the ball away during this game with Ole Miss. Well, boys, it's been a nice year. Enjoy the ride home.
yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, that's good. So, well, good luck to the Green Wave. You know, it's interesting about a matchup perspective because the winner of this game will move on to play Georgia, which will be if Ole Miss wins, that'll be another rematch for them. So, I have yet to find someone that thinks Tulane could. Well, I mean, anything's possible, but I think I think it's uh, we may be looking at another rematch here on the 1st of January in the CFP playoff. So, but that's great. But good luck to the Green Wave. They sure are a fun team to watch. So, uh, hope they uh, hope they enjoy the ride, and we'll see what the Green Wave can do. Let's move to the next game. which is another, uh, you know, seemingly on paper mismatch between the James Madison Dukes and the Oregon Ducks. Um, so this game features a team. To your earlier point, is this the same team now that we were earlier in the year? And I wonder what your take is on Oregon. Right, the last time they lost was against, of course, Indiana at home, and that ended a long winning streak for the Ducks. But since then, do you think they've evolved specifically, well, on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively, or both? And what can they do? What is Coach Dan Lanning doing? Because he's a defensive-minded coach first, and uh, to get his boys ready for the Dukes, who have certainly earned their way in by winning the Sun Belt Conference and being the highest ranked, being higher ranked than Duke out of the ACC.
If anyone would have told Jim Capuano or TJ Troop that James Madison would be playing Oregon in a playoff game, and they would have stated that in August, they would have probably committed us to a mental ward. So no one saw this coming.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question specifically about Oregon, the cameras were all over Dan Lanning during the fourth quarter of Indiana, Oregon. And he just looked like the most frustrated, what do I want to say, character. Just, he was almost apoplectic. They very rarely put the camera on Signetti. They had it on Lanning. So after that loss, I think he had to sit down and go, okay, who are we? What do we want to do? And you stated it. He is a defensive-minded coach. He knows that's a strength, and it sure isn't that their offense isn't rock solid. Gosh, they can move the ball. He has physical, talented athletes, and they haven't lost since. And look at who your one loss is. It's to the number one team in the nation.
Right.
So they are, as always, a talented, physical team. Now, James Madison, what's really interesting is when Signetti got the job, he took a handful of those guys with him to Indiana. They haven't skipped a beat.
Right.
So they must know what they're doing there.
Yeah, they do.
So an outstanding season for them, but your reward is you get to go play the Ducks. Okay, well, let's see how that goes.
You know, the Ducks and the Dukes. So the uh, the Dukes of James Madison, right? They're making history. They've already made history. It's only their second season as an FBS team, and they've qualified as the first team ever from the Sun Belt Conference, and to make it into the CFP. So, you know, your buddy Coach Signetti left there, as you mentioned, to move on to Indiana, and then his successor, Bob Chesney, who has accomplished a 21-5 record at James Madison, is moving on at whenever their season ends, to coach UCLA. So they've become a bit of a launching pad to the next level. But James Madison itself has certainly earned their way in there. And if you look at the tail of the tape between these two guys, now obviously they played a different schedule. Their scoring margin of victory is, you know, Oregon's 23.4 points average margin of victory, James Madison 21.5. Their red zone scoring is each 88% on the year. And their sacks and interceptions, James Madison's got 13 more sacks, and they're equal, and they're only minus. And in terms of interceptions and fumble recoveries, James Madison's got 15, Oregon 17. Total offense, you know, they're within a stone's throw of each other all the way across the board. Obviously, as I said, different strength of schedule. So the Dukes have a chance. I mean, they got a puncher's chance here. A massive underdog would be a huge upset. But we'll see what they could do to hang tough up in Autzen. But it'll be a fun game to watch. Now, if the Ducks prevail, as everybody expects they will, um, they would be moving on to play Texas Tech, which would be a really fun game to watch. So this is just the first round, but looking at these teams, I got a road to hoe, but it is really exciting when you think about the next round matchups on the 1st of January, and there's one on New Year's Eve. So that'll be a, it's really great getting this party started, don't you think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to the other one on Saturday, which is the first game, and that is the Miami Hurricanes traveling to College Station in College, Texas, to take on the Aggies, who are coming off their first loss of the year. We've been very curious about how the Aggies can do. We've talked about them a number of times this year. Uh, what is your view of this game from an Aggies perspective, right? Coming off their first loss, um, and the Hurricanes. Well, let me flip that around. The Hurricanes, a lot of folks were saying they didn't belong there, but they're there. If you're the coach of the players don't care about that anymore, right? They're there, they got a shot. Their job is to go out and take down the Aggies, right? I mean, that's got to be their mindset, not like we don't belong here.
Absolutely. The early season victory for them, okay, they got it done. They're playing, but they're playing a team that really had an outstanding season and they've got some excellent defensive players. But add to that, they have a quarterback who has been, shall we go with scintillating to describe Mr. Marcel Reed.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
He did not play well in the loss to Texas. All right. Everybody can have a bad game. It's just, there's no doubt every Aggie fan is going, well, Marcel, you can't do this again, because he just did not play well. So if he plays the way he's capable of playing, they got no problem.
Right. Yeah, 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 and it's going to be interesting because Reed has been solid all year. He's only a redshirt sophomore, but against top 25 opponents, which were all road games, he's done very well. The Texas game, Texas has I would say Texas's defense is the best defense that the Aggies have played all year. And I think it's a learning opportunity for Reed and frankly for the whole offense. But when you look at Reed in the macro, he's against again top 25 opponents. Um, so 4 games, 69 of 119 pass attempts, 963 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he's rushed for 245 yards on 37 carries. That's a 6.6 yards per carry. This guy's a dual threat. He is the key to their offense, along with junior wideout KC Concepcion, who also, I mean, that guy's going to be playing on Sundays whenever he goes into the draft. And he's the Paul Hornung Award winner. He's averaged 117.4 all-purpose yards for the season, and he's up-leveled that over the last 5 games, which is 137 yards per game all season. All-purpose yards. So those two guys are the guys to watch. But don't overlook Mario Craver, who has had a nice game against the Aggies, and I think you talk about uh, Nashville Charlie on Indiana, uh, kind of evolving into the main guy on their offense, and I think Craver is, uh, you know, they're they've got a trio of receivers, Ashton Bethel Roman, Mario Craver, and of course KC Concepcion. So I think the Aggies uh, offensively. I think they're going to right the ship relative to what they did against the Longhorns. But we'll see. We'll see how the game plays out. And that's a tough place to play. But the winner of this game will travel to Columbus, Ohio, to face the number 2 ranked team and the defending national champion, Ohio State Buckeyes at the U on New Year's Day. So that'll be fun. Anything else on this game, TJ?
I'm saying who the best player is in the field is always subject to scrutiny.
Mm.
I mean, we can have all kinds of different opinions, but since he was an AP All-American, and I did watch him play twice this year, Cassius Howell, the defensive end for Texas A&M, just might be the best player on the field. So however they utilize him, when the Aggies are sending him coming off the edge, I would advise that they try and pass block, because 11 and a half sacks is 11 and a half sacks. He is the whole package.
Yes, sir.
He is quick. He is relentless. And he is a young man who just might be also playing on Sundays.
Uh-huh. Right on. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Let's talk about the game I know you're heavily focused on, which is the game Friday night in Norman, Oklahoma, a rematch between the Crimson Tide and the Sooners. We can, could talk about the controversy involving whether Alabama belongs or not. But rather than focus on that, because they're here, so let's just deal with the facts. What do you see as we approach this game, a rematch of the game we just had, just over a month ago at Alabama, where the Sooners took down the Tide 23-21, in a really thrilling game in which the Tide dominated from a yards perspective, but failed to win the game because of a critical turnover, pick six earlier in the first quarter. How does that carry over for this? What does the Tide and the Sooners take away from that game, and what are your thoughts on this game?
When you look at the magical stats and you see that one team has outgained the other, you of course right away are going, well, that equates to victory. Well, in this case, it did not.
Right.
And when you really focus on the game and watch it from beginning to end, you can see why Oklahoma won the game. Now, did they dominate the game? No, that is not a word that's going to happen when these two teams take the field.
Right.
Alabama is out to prove that they are a legitimate team who should be in here, no matter what anybody says about how many losses. That is inconsequential.
Right.
They're in this game.
Right.
And at the same time, Oklahoma is looking at it. We beat you once, we're going to beat you again.
Right. Yeah.
From my point of view, being someone who loves history, I mean, we're talking about legendary, iconic programs. And the first time they played was on New Year's Day when Joe Namath was a quarterback at Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And Leroy Jordan was playing linebacker. Now they play since, because we have, has America reconfigured conferences? Yes. And for someone like myself, I'm still trying to adjust to that. But Oklahoma and Alabama taking the field, they just want to advance. It should be close. It should be hard fought. Does Alabama make the mistakes in this game that they did in the other? Number one question. Number two, does Oklahoma find again a way to win and prove that they are legit? We answer those two questions, and we know the outcome.
Yep. There were some key plays by the Sooners defense, right? They had that pick six in the first quarter. And then there was, when they were trailing 21-20 with about 7 minutes and change left in the third quarter, they had a strip sack. And then Tate Sandel converted that into a field goal. And, the three turnovers that the Tide had in that game were the difference in that game. So you could talk about all the yardage that you want. If you can't take care of the ball, that's a big problem. And the Sooners earned that. Their defense, which, Brett Venables, their coach, is a defensive-minded coach first. He was a defensive coordinator, of course, for Clemson when they won their championships. And um, they're a defense first team, so it's going to be interesting. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but do you have a prediction on this game?
Well, because I've coached on both sides of the ball. I just really believe Oklahoma's defense is going to measure up again and be the difference in the game.
Yep, I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting, but it's interesting too because the winner of this game will face the Indiana Hoosiers. So in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. So that'll be talk about the granddaddy of them all. That'll be something if whoever advances, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, TJ. Well, that's beautiful. Let's talk about. You like to talk about the stuff at the pro level. Uh, I know your cuddly bears, as you like to call them, have a massive game at Soldier Field, Chicago, Saturday night on prime time. Um, you want to talk about that, or what else on the NFL level would you like to discuss?
Let's go to tonight.
Okay.
There's a team in the Pacific Northwest coached by a man who is getting absolutely no ink about the job he's done, meaning Coach McDonald. Look at the record of the Seattle Seahawks.
Uh-huh.
They are tied with the Rams, and they're at home.
Yeah.
And they have pretty much dominated the Rams since 2002 in their home games.
Right.
And the Rams lately, if you go online and read the countless articles, we have Matthew Stafford as MVP. The Rams are the number one team. They're going back to the Super Bowl. Well, yes, all of those are possible. But when they beat Seattle in LA, even though the Rams in some sense dominated the game when the Seattle kicker lined up to kick the ball about 8,000 miles for the winning field goal, which of course he did not make.
Uh-huh.
I thought to myself, Seattle still has a chance to win this game. So we have a terrific game on a Thursday night.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and the Seahawks are riding quite a winning streak, aren't they? So
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I mean, you don't get to be 11-3 in the NFL unless you're doing a lot of things well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they are vastly overlooked from a coaching to, I mean, I think some of it's the Sam Darnold effect, right? I mean, the guy had a terrible start to his career in the NFL, and in last year's playoff did not do well. Earlier this year against the Rams, as you said, the number of turnovers, but they had a chance to win the game. So this is sort of an opportunity. I mean, you can look, if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm looking at it as an opportunity, not a test, right? I think your mindset really matters, but this is an opportunity to show what he's actually capable of. And he's shown it every game this year, for the most part, but he's evolving, he's progressing. And, if you're Sam Darnold, what's your mindset? What do you obviously you want to lead your team to victory. It's a binary outcome. Were we successful? But are you taking it? You're embracing the challenge, I believe, right? The opportunity.
Absolutely. And he faces recently, Chris Shula has gotten some ink. I'll use that term about future head coaching opportunities. He has done a wonderful job as the defensive coordinator of the Rams. And there might be a few of you out there that have heard of his grandfather, a guy he actually won a few games in his NFL coaching career, a guy by the name of Don Shula. Well,
Yeah.
Chris Shula's done a fine job, and I've watched the Rams a lot. They are not, I repeat, they are not as talented in their defensive secondary as some other teams.
Huh.
Yet, they've got an outstanding pass rush. Shula uses a myriad of defensive alignments, and their secondary has responded and made big plays.
Yeah.
That's why they're 11-3.
Yeah.
So this comes down to Chris Shula. Okay, Sam Darnold, let's see what you got.
Yeah. All
And
right.
Sam Darnold is going, hey, there's some weaknesses in that Rams secondary. Can I exploit them?
Yeah. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Anything else you want to talk about the NFL? We've got a few more minutes here. Anything else, or anything about the Pro Football Journal that you write for every week, or both?
Well, I'll both. I'll close with the Journal in just a moment here. When you grow up in Chicago, and you know that you're going to be buried in navy blue and burnt orange, like I know I will be. I
Okay.
mean, I go back to the 1959 Bears.
Wow. Okay.
Um, Anytime they played Green Bay, okay, we know what that once upon a time meant. And there's been times in the history of the rivalry where the Bears dominated. But that sure has not been true for the last 20 years. This has been Green Bay. Ask Mr. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the comments he made, and he was absolutely historically accurate and correct. We own them guys,
That's right.
okay? The cuddly little Bears have actually become a physical, rock solid offensive football team.
Uh,
And they are at home on national television on a Saturday night.
that's right.
I'm looking over across my den at my coffee table, and there's 2 cans of Smokehouse Almonds sitting there. All I got to do is add my Dr. Peppers to them, and I'm ready for kickoff on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So it should be the game of the week, and there's so much to add to it. And of course, people in other parts of the country that really don't care, and I understand that about the Bear Packer rivalry. How about all those people in Wisconsin and Illinois that do? So
Yeah.
that should be fun. And there's always a couple other really good matchup games for Sunday. But the two that stand out are tonight and Saturday night.
Yeah.
And of course, we've still got 3 weeks to go here in the NFL season, which will take me very briefly to the Journal.
Sure.
I enjoy what I'm writing there. I address it. I pose questions. I hope people will respond who they see as the team that can get this done and go to the playoffs. Later on, I'll have a couple stats that, again, both Dr. Z and Steve Sable loved when I shared it with them years ago. But that's to whet all of your appetites for
All
down
right.
the road.
Right on. That's awesome.
But in there, in the Journal, I go back in time to the very first time that both the Eagles and the Steelers made the playoffs. And the strangest thing, in 1947, after the Redskins and the Giants dominating the Eastern Conference, in 1947, the Eagles and the Steelers tie for the Eastern Conference crown and have to have a special playoff.
Huh.
So I addressed that. And of course, who can go back and talk about plays in a game from 78 years ago? Well, when you have the game film, you can do that.
Wow. That's like that's unbelievable that you've got that film. That's historic. And yeah, in the history of the game, real quick, TJ, I know you've been a defensive minded coach for well for a long time. Setting the edge, winning the perimeter, all of that, which really that has not changed in 78 years, correct? I mean, that's still, taking care of the ball and winning the edge. That's going to indicate who's going to win the game, correct?
Absolutely. They've been my two go-to parts, and tie that to how I aligned pass coverages and how I learned from the masters. I want to be real clear on this. I invented nothing,
I know.
but boy, oh boy, you can call it either research or stealing. When
Uh-huh.
I saw what other coaches did, when I saw what Bud Carson was doing with cover two with Chuck Noll and the Steelers, I couldn't steal it fast enough.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but it's the application, right? I mean, so I would say you invented your application. So I don't think it's accurate to say you haven't invented anything. The application of it matters. You're dealing with human beings. So I would submit that that is you and your creation and your contribution. So the subject matter is the subject matter, but the application of how you relate to other people and enroll them in what's possible and executing on the practice field and bringing it to the playing field, the actual game, that's a skill, and you've got that. You're blessed with that. So I just want to put that out there for folks to apply to their own life. So it's good. All right.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, I had talented, tough, dedicated high school players that learned very quickly that pleasing me was their number one occupation. And then they did it by how they played pass defense. And the other part was teaching, especially my perimeter players, how to defend the run on the outside and how to rush the passer.
Right.
And when George Allen is your defensive guru, you learn those things rather quickly.
Yeah, amazing. Just amazing. And it's been amazing to be with you. Thank you, TJ. Folks, that is a wrap for this week. We will see you next week before Christmas, and because we've got some games on Christmas Day, and it's just a great time of year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and we will see you next week. TJ, thank you so much. Enjoy the games. Folks, take care of each other. We'll see you next week. So long, everybody.